I'd like to call to order the Meriwether County Board of Commissioners regular scheduled meeting for August the 27th at 6 p.m. At this time, we'd like to stand for invocation, and Commissioner McCoy will give us the invocation.
Y'all would, please bow with me. Father, we just come to you as always, Lord, just standing amazed at your wonders, all that you have here for us. And Lord, we especially thank you for our county tonight, Meriwether County. And Lord, we ask you as always to be here in our midst. Give us that good gift, you know, to come from above, Lord, to help us have the wisdom to make those decisions that will be benefiting to you as well as to our county. In Christ Jesus' name.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. As we go through the process, it will be on the screen, and those who do not have a copy of the agenda, there's an agenda outside as well. At this time, I'd like to get a motion that we adopt the agenda as presented unless there's a need to make any changes to the agenda.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. It's been brought to my attention that we do need to make some changes to the agenda. The first item is to amend future meetings and notice on the very back, as we need to add that on September the 5th, 2019, a special call meeting will be held at 6 p.m. And I do believe that special call meeting is in reference to discuss the upcoming budget.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
That is what session 4 is.
And it's September the 5th, 2019, the special call meeting at 6 p.m. Can I get a motion that we accept this amendment to the agenda? Is there a second? Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, I'd like to call for a vote. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carried. I understand there's one other item we also need to add to the agenda, and that item will be under new business. Will be item number 8, to vote on the delegate for ACC Legislative Leadership Conference that is due in October. Mr. Gates, would you like to elaborate more before we adopt this?
Yes, ma'am. This is an official call business session of the ACCG Legislative Leadership Conference, and this is for Thursday, October 3rd, and we did receive a memo from Dave Wills asking that the county please a vote. And I know Commissioner Hines, you have served as the legislative liaison on this, so we already had that on the record, but we'll bring it back. So,
At this time, I'd like to get a motion that we accept adding on this to the agenda. Is there a second? Okay, there's been a motion and second. Any other discussion? If not, I'd like to call for a vote. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carries. So at this time, we need to go ahead and adopt the agenda with the added on changes. So at this time, can I get a motion? Okay. Is there a second? Okay, there's been a motion and second that we adopt the agenda as presented with the added ons. At this time, is there any other discussion? If not, I'd like to ask for a vote. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carries. The next item on the agenda is the minutes from the August 14th regular scheduled meeting at 9 a.m. All right, and has everyone had a chance to look over the minutes? Is there any changes, any corrections?
I believe there is a correction on Commissioner Brakehart's attention on the minutes, which you point out, we need, on the first page, the levels, 24 times. Yeah, I motion to get together the changes to be made. Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second that we adopt the minutes with the changes that's been recommended. At this time, I'd like to ask for a vote. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carries. We have adopted the minutes. The next item on the agenda is municipal comments. So at this time, for those representing the different cities in our county, have an opportunity to come up and share with us. Mayor Glover? You're not in your right spot. You know, I'm looking over there. Okay. Thank you. You said you didn't have anything. Any other cities represented? I don't want to overlook anyone. I see Mr. Cuddy's here from Lucasville. No? Thank you. All right, if not, we'll move on. We thank those for, at this time, we have anything to share. This time we go to our Constitution officers. All right, I did see someone from the sheriff. That's on the sheriff. You sure? All right, okay. Any other? No, all right, we appreciate that. We're moving on pretty good here. The next is department heads. Skip?
I'm speaking for two. IT has nothing. Animal shelter, can I go at the end?
That'd be fine.
I'll go as animal shelter.
All right.
I'll let you speak on the slides.
Oh, okay. All right. I guess I have to start calling names then. Bill from Public Works.
Don't really have anything. Thank you. Trying to get back to the,
Okay. So there is a portion on our new business that we're going to address, so you will talk at that time as well? All right, thank you so much. All right. Kathy, we know you're coming up later. Ms. Jane?
I'll just go ahead and comment out that section 48 at the last Saturday in September. And one thing I think is know how long you want to keep our tires. 2 weeks or a month. Before I start publicizing that, everybody sign up to pick up trash.
Thank you. Big project. Thank you so much. We see we have Carol McKinney from the tourism. You want to have something you want to share with us?
First of all, we're finishing up our Leadership Meriwether class in September, the 19th and 20th, and we are in the process of recruiting for our 2020 class. Now, how am I supposed to talk when you put in those beautiful things up there? Nobody's going to be listening.
I'm trying to see how fat I look in that young.
Okay, so we're recruiting for 2020. If anybody has any candidates for Leadership Meriwether, good. Okay, we also successfully applied for and received a Rotary grant, Rotary Foundation, to purchase some materials for our 0 to 3 population. This is under our Get Meriwether Reading campaign. So we had a meeting with the Department of Public Health and their WIC program, and we'll be working with them to identify those kids on that program who are most at risk. And so we will be putting books in their hands. We have these little t-shirts that we're going to be putting on the kids, so everybody can have a book sale on Saturday. A lot of the kids will wear these. So all part of our Get Meriwether Reading campaign. We also have successfully applied for and received a grant from Southern Rivers Energy to put some arts and STEAM materials in our pre-K class. Y'all are still looking at that? I see. I'm going to be looking at you. Don't look at that.
Yeah, you got to
I know. Anyway, pre-K arts and STEAM materials, so we'll be moving forward with that. Also, under arts and Meriwether Get Meriwether Reading, we are applying for a grant from the Georgia Council for the Arts to bring a Serenbe Playhouse performance back here in November. And again, we will be busing all of our second graders over to Corpus Farms if we get the grant, so keep your fingers crossed. And that will be for the Jungle Book. So we'll be reading to them, giving them books to take home, and then busing them to the play. Also, under tourism, we are applying for a grant from the Tourism Product Development Division for a mobile app, funds for a mobile app to create a mobile app for our mural tour. So hopefully we will get that as well, and that will be announced in September. And then the final thing I want to mention, which I hope y'all will be proud of, I know you have to be proud of this, is that Meriwether County has been selected to be showcased at the Governor's Conference on Tourism in September. So this is their annual big tourism conference. And this is the 10th anniversary of the Tourism Product Development Organization of that unit. And as you know, we were the beneficiary of one of those visits. So every county that was the beneficiary of one of those visits is sort of in the competition, if you will. We didn't apply for this, but they did pick us as one of 4 communities across the state who have been in that queue to showcase in September at the Governor's Conference. So they'll be coming into our community next week, doing some videos and talking to people and creating a very professionally done video that they will share to the entire state at the Governor's Conference on Tourism. So you should be proud of that. I know I am. That's a big deal when you think about Meriwether County being one of only 4 across the state. And the other, I know 2 of them, one was Toccoa and Dublin, Meriwether, and then another community that starts with a C, and I can't remember it. So anyway, also, one last thing, also part of our Get Meriwether reading, I want to make everybody aware, I know y'all are, of this First Foundation. And this is an organization that raises money for a book that for kids 0 to 5. So if you have a child, grandchild, neighbor, cousin, anybody in the church that you can apply and receive a book in their mailbox every month from the time they're born until they're age 5. So this is a great program that costs nothing to get this. And you may be skeptical and say, well, just because kids get the book doesn't necessarily mean somebody's going to read to it. But the book also comes with a newsletter and helpful tips for them. So it may not guarantee, but it's certainly up to odds. So anybody, I have plenty of these flyers if you know somebody who would like to get signed up.
Thank you.
Lady in the back.
Appreciate that.
I got plenty of those. Yes, ma'am. That's all I have.
Well, we thank you so much. Skipper, you ready apparently?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Sean's out of town, he needs to be here. Had festivals this last weekend, incredible turnout for the first one. I'd like to thank Mr. Greg Hill, Mr. McCoy, Dale who was there. We had a lot of vendors, several donations, very good donations. They had a good time. These are a couple of pictures of dogs we had there for adoption. Just people, guinea pig, I think somebody wanted guinea pig. We had face painting, just several games. You know, it was a good time.
That's okay, I'm just glad they didn't get the one when I first did that cold water.
I appreciate everybody being here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. It's nice to have an actual presentation. You can see everything.
In my understanding, it's 2,500 a day on that day.
Anyone else as far as department heads? I don't want to overlook anyone. We know Kathy will speak during our public hearing. I do notice that we have someone in the back who's with our Water and Sewer Authority. Would you like to just stand up and share how things go with our Water and Sewer Authority? I know I put you on the spot, but that's okay.
My name is Steve Bob. Y'all don't know, they can take Steve, Water Sewer Authority, and we are still actively working towards plans, desires for putting in countywide water. Now, doesn't mean it's gonna happen overnight. What I need for you guys that are out here to understand is still have that goal plan for being finalized until the grant that we're going to be applying for to make that funds. We are working tonight, second reading on an update as far as the release ordinance. This is important to Meriwether County, helping the county to
hearing, and before we go into public hearing, I do want to make a comment, just bring some things to the attention. Our last public hearing was very long, very lengthy. We were here for 3 hours. I've been corrected, it was 4 hours. But either way, public hearings is a part of the process for any government. And it comes with zoning and just different things. So we have rules and ordinance to address these public hearings. So for those who are here, you will have the opportunity to sign up and indicate whether you're for or against it. Once your name is called, we ask that you come and address the board and giving us your name and your address so it can be put in the minutes. I'm going to also ask that during the time of public hearing, everybody wants to hear what's being said, so we ask that you be courteous and listen to what everyone has to say. This is a very small room, and a lot of times it's very difficult to hear what everybody's saying. We are actually in the process of looking at how we can get some mics in this room so you can hear better, because once these air conditioning units are put on, it's very hard to hear. So I'm going to ask that everyone be respectful of the fact that when people up on the floor, so that everybody can hear what they have to say, is to keep your voices to the point where if you have these sidebar conversations, please step out so that we can be respectful of those who are up to speak. And I also just want to indicate, and I want to read this so that everyone will understand, there's a decorum on how government should act and how they should conduct their meetings. Here in Meriwether County, we have adopted the ACC, which is the Association of County Commissioners policy. I'm just going to read this so everyone will be very clear. The purpose of meetings of the Board of Commissioners is to conduct the county business. Meetings shall be conducted in an orderly and respectful fashion. There are not to be forms of belittling or ridiculing or embarrassing county commissioners or county officials or county employees or other in attendance, which means we should be respectful of everyone who gets up to speak. If for whatever reason you are out of order, I will hit the gavel, which is something I really don't like to do, but I will do it. If that is the case, then I'll address our parliamentarian, which is actually our county attorney, and he will address to you why you're out of order. Hopefully this is not going to be something that we will find ourselves into to do, but at our last public hearing, it was very lengthy and a lot of people became very emotional, and I understand how a lot of people they're committed to what they believe in, but we have to conduct the business in order. So at this time, I'd like to get a motion that we go into public hearing. Is there a second? There's been a motion and a second to go into public hearing, and this will be for case number 12. At this time, can I get a vote? All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carried. We are now in public hearing. Yes, I'm sorry. There was a question that was asked to our county administrator earlier, and that was to address what constitutes a subdivision. So at this time, before Kathy and the person that comes up will speak on this matter, we will hear from our county administrator. Mr. Gay, do you mind speaking into the mic so everybody can hear you?
I'd be happy to do that, Madam Chairman. I apologize for my voice.
Still can't hear you.
As we've been, can you hear me?
Still can't hear me, huh? That better? Okay. As you guys know, we have been reviewing our county codes and ordinances. We talked about that, and have finished the first phase. We're in the draft number 2, which I'm going to finish up by September. Huge document. One of the things that I discovered in addition to reviewing this, corrected in our updated notes, is that we have under the zoning ordinance, definition of a subdivision is defined as all divisions of a tract or parcel of land under common ownership into 2 or more lots, building sites or other divisions for the purpose immediate or future of sales, building development, etc. But then when we go over to our subdivision regulations, it defines a subdivision. This is where you put the plats on record of anything that's been reviewed from the planning department. It defines a subdivision as a division of tract or parcel of land into 5 or more building sites or other divisions for the purpose, whether immediate or future, of sale or a building development. We've already identified that as a conflict within our codes. I do believe what we've been following is probably the subdivision regs, which indicated five lots. But we want to make sure those are consistent, and that will be something that we'll be addressing in the upcoming review. Right now, we're finishing the second draft of the notice, and that'll be coming back to the commissioners for the final adoption. But right now, we have two different definitions and following the one that's listed as subdivision, which is provisions of the five lot type.
Thank you for that clarification. At this time, Kathy, our first case is case number 12, assist with Mr. John Knight, requesting rezoning of 10.452 acres from LDR to RD for the construction of 4 single-family homes. Yes, ma'am. Is that mic on right there?
Yes, ma'am.
Can everybody hear?
Hello? I'm here. Thank you, Madam Chairman, fellow board members. Case number 12, as the chairman said, is John Knight. He is requesting to rezone a 10.4531 acre tract from LDR, which is 5-acre minimum, to RD, which is a 2-acre minimum, for the construction of 4 single-family homes. This is actually located on tax map and parcel 2310, and it is in District 1, our chairman's commission district. Parcel is requested to be split into 4 parcels containing 2 acres or greater for the purpose of constructing 4 new homes. Access for these newly created lots will have direct access from Forest Road and Gold Mine Road. No easement access will be needed on any of these pieces. The subject property is currently under a conservation use covenant, and under our state code, subdividing of a current 10.45 acre tract will constitute a breach of covenant with penalties. Those penalties arising must be paid in full prior to any building permit being issued on the property. Surrounding properties vary in size from less than an acre to over 1,000 acres. Parcels contain both private homes and large timber tracts. Property value will increase on each newly created parcel with the addition of a private residence. The current tract allows for road frontage on 2 paved roads. It will eliminate the need for the easement access again. No foreseen burden or excessive use on Forest Road or Gold Mine Road, utilities, or schools will be caused. It is my recommendation to approve the rezoning of the 10.45 acre tract from LDR to RD for the creation of 4 residential building lots. The application shall comply with the Meriwether County Zoning Ordinance, Article 7.1, District Lot and Height Restrictions. Mr. Knight, I will say, has already gotten some homes under construction and sold, am I correct? Off of Forest Road, which was another rezoning that y'all heard at the end of last year. They have 3 new beautiful homes out on Forest Road, so if anyone has a chance, go see what kind of work they do. We are very excited to have his company in our county to bring us some new homes.
Good afternoon. As Kathy just said, I am trying to rezone around 10.5 acre tract from LDR to RD so we can build 4 homes. I have a plat of the property with our lots mapped out, as well as a elevation that we built already down Forest Road. Like she was saying, we did a similar rezoning, and we just saw opportunity with how close we are to 85 right there and the new hospital, and those homes were sold as fast as they could be built. So now we're looking to do something similar, and we've already looked at another piece of land in Meriwether that we're interested in doing this with. My parents actually own this company, and I'm the home builder for it, and they live in Meriwether County in Callaway Road in Greenville, so they have invested interest in watching Meriwether build as well. If you guys would like, I'd like to. So, yes. And then here's it. As evenly as we can, they're not exact, there's certain, they have to have 200 feet of road frontage with RD as well as a 2 acre minimum, so they're all at least 2 acres and have that road frontage.
What's the square footage of the house?
The homes are going to be approximately 2,500 square feet, and they'll be 4 to 5 bed and 2.5 to 3.5 bath. And they'll sell for the mid 200s.
Does anyone else have any questions or comments to Mr. McKnight regarding this? Well, I would like to say this, it is in my district, it's actually right down from my home where I personally live, and I would honestly say the work, and the quality of work that you all have done looks very well. I'm just surprised how fast you got it done. We thought people would be moving in there in September, they were in there in August, so kudos to you and your marketing and all the good work that you've done. So
Thank you very much.
appreciate it. Looks very well. Does there anyone else have any questions or comments before we go out of public hearing?
I would just make sure that nobody in the audience can
Fair.
do well.
Right. Regarding this public hearing for this rezoning, I don't have anyone else's name on the list, but if there's anyone that would like to come up and speak regarding this rezoning, you can at this time. If you would like to speak, I would need you to sign your name and give us your address as well. Does anyone like to speak regarding case number 12, the rezoning of the property on Forest and Romine Road? Not? At this time, I'd like to get a motion that we come out of public hearing for case number 12. Is there a second? There's been a motion and a second for us to come out of public hearing. At this time, I'd like to ask for a vote. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
So at this time, after hearing the recommendation from our planning and zoning and also hearing from the owner, the gentleman who wants to build it, I'd like to get a motion on the floor. Your motion is to, so your motion is to, for the rezoning. Yes, okay. We have a motion on the floor to grant the rezoning. And there's a second, so there's been a motion and a second to grant the rezoning for case number 12. This time, I'd like to ask for a vote. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Nice, already gone. Come on, carry on with the hearing. All right.
I will relay that information to him.
Thank you. The next case is case number 13. So at this time, I'd like a motion that I get to go back into public hearing for case number 13. Is there a second? Okay, there's been a motion and a second to discuss case number 13. Leo Banks requests for the special use approval of a telecommunications tower located on 15 acres, parcel zone, LDR, tax number. All right, Ms. Kathy?
Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Okay, 1 second, I'm sorry. I need to get, I have the motion, but I didn't ask for a vote. At this time, I'd like to get for a vote. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carries. We're now in public hearing.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
We have case number 13. Put the rest of my notes out. This is an application for special use to construct a cell phone tower. Brian Devine is representative for Verizon Wireless. He's the agent for Mr. Banks. They are requesting that special use permit for the installation of a cell phone tower on property located at 594 Bob White Road in Greenville. The current zoning on the 15 acres is LDR, which will allow for a cell phone tower with approval of a special use permit. The proposed 100 by 100 foot tower site will be accessed by easement off of Bob White Road under a lease agreement and will contain a 265 foot self-supporting tower. The subject property is currently under a conservation use covenant. Under state code, leasing a portion of the property for a cell phone tower will not constitute a breach. However, that portion of the parcel shall cease to be subject to the covenant and be taxed at fair market value. The proposed special use is for an activity that is protected by the Federal Telecommunications Act of 1996. Meriwether County zoning ordinance incorporates buffers and setbacks to support the neighborhood while allowing a federally protected tower. Based on staff review and analysis of the information as presented, supplemental information as requested, site visits, and review of the surrounding area, the applicant will comply with Meriwether County zoning ordinance, Article 9, Communication Tower Regulations. The staff recommends the grant of a special use permit to the applicant upon the applicant's compliance with the following conditions. Now, there are 16 conditions on this, which you do have a copy of. Is it necessary that I read through each and every one of them, or do you have any questions, or would you want to highlight or emphasize any of those? I will mention that during our Planning Commission meeting, there was a concern about the lighting on the tower. That was addressed. Brian actually contacted the engineers, and we got specification information on the lighting, and I would like to share that with you because the issue was a strobe light. This is what the information was provided to us when we asked that there be no strobe lighting on the actual tower. Based on the determination of the FAA, Chapters 4, 8, and 12, this would indicate that red, medium-intensity lighting should be used. For example, a steady burn red lighting system can be used in lieu of flashing obstruction light beacons. The lighting is going to be dictated by the FAA as far as what the height of the tower is and the type, but there are ways that we can ask them to make them better for any of the surrounding properties and not have any direct illumination or cause any problems with drivers on the road or the neighboring properties.
We don't have those specifications.
No, that came in after the Planning Commission.
No, the, ones that you're reading.
All
The one you
17?
sent me. Yeah, 17.
Okay.
Conditions.
You ready?
Well, I'll tell you, get confirmation. Where you say,
Okay.
here's my thing, I mean, I'm.
The lighting is addressed in item 13, but I think you would change that over to a more restrictive.
That's correct. Yes. We will, they have agreed to give a 10-foot vertical space to the tower for the installation of the county communication equipment at no cost for county public safety and emergency responders, and they will be placed at a height no less than 140 feet on the tower. They, of course, will have to make sure that all of the entrances will be approved by Public Works on pipe size and driveway. All kinds of emergency information will be shared with all of our offices for any kind of emergency situation. The tower site fall zone is engineered so that if it should collapse, it will collapse in a 50-foot fall zone, which has been substantiated by an engineer's letter, which we do have. They will also be required to issue a certificate of insurance in favor of the Meriwether County office here. They will have secure gates to prevent any kind of unauthorized traffic. The buffers around the property will include fencing and landscaping. The chain link fences will be installed around the entire compound. It has to be a minimum of 6 foot in height, have 2 rows of barbed wire, and the fencing must be either coated or have the green or the black slats in it to help try to blend it in and make it less obvious when you look at it. If there's any kind of material damage to the property, they would have to respond after a notice to take care of repairing anything. If for any reason the facility is not built or if it's not operable for 12 months consecutively, the applicant owner would have to restore the property back to the pre-development condition, 36 inches below grade. They also have to provide us with a removal and restoration plan for the property at the end of the life of the facility. They must maintain all of the grass and brush around the property for the life of the operation. This permit would only allow one telecommunication tower, and the height of it shall not exceed the permitted height of 265 feet. As I mentioned earlier about the lighting, we do ask that they have no strobe lighting. We do have confirmation from the FAA that it can be accommodated. but that lighting must be established so that any adjacent properties and roadways are not adversely affected, and to preclude glare onto or direct illumination of any adjacent properties and streets. We will have a final inspection by a structural engineer licensed in the state of Georgia prior to the final approval of the facility. We already have in hand a pre-development site plan that indicates the buffer grading and erosion control for the site. They must meet all local, state, and federal regulations governing telecommunication towers. We do have the FAA letter, determination of no hazard to air navigation letter. I have sent it to our Roosevelt Airport Authority, and they verified that it is not going to be a hazard to any of the flight areas here. Any other questions? That was as quick as I could make it.
Thank you so much. We do have a list of people who have signed that is to speak regarding this matter. So at this time, I'm going to call you and ask you to come up, state your name. Okay. And when you do come up and ask that you state your name and your address. So once again, this was available earlier, so if there's anyone who have not signed on this particular hearing, if you want to sign, we'll give you the opportunity to sign now. Does anyone like to sign, have not signed up to this section of the public hearing? Not, okay. Thank you. At this time, we would like to hear from the applicant. And is that Mr. Devine? Okay, so Mr. Devine, you're on behalf of the applicant? All right.
Yes, Mr. Banks will come back.
Mr. Banks is there. All right. So Mr. Banks wants to speak. You also have the opportunity. All right, once again, it's very hard to hear, so do you mind speaking into the mic so we can hear what you have to say, or maybe can we move the mic up a little bit?
Okay.
Thank you.
Good evening. Can everyone hear me? Okay.
Thank you.
My name is Brian Devine. I'm with General Dynamics representing Verizon, and they're proposing to put a new tower on this property in rural Meriwether County to improve coverage and provide increased access to emergency services. Now, regarding the location that was selected for this tower, the subject parcel is a heavily wooded parcel, and there are a lot of trees on the neighboring parcels as well. And what this means is that the base of the tower and all of the equipment will be concealed from surrounding properties, irrespective of the landscape buffer that's being required. And the visibility of the rest of the tower will be limited as well. It's probably, tempting to think, as a neighbor, I'm going to see the tower, but the extent to which any given neighbor will be able to see the tower will actually be dependent on their location relative to the tree line and whether they actually have line of sight, not necessarily on the proximity to the tower location itself. There will be lighting on the tower because it is required by the FAA. And as Kathy mentioned, there were some concerns raised about that at the Planning Commission hearing. The neighbors stated that, they had been exposed to, a tower a little ways away, I'm not sure of the exact location, where there was flashing strobe lighting, and they were concerned that the lighting on this tower might be similar to that. And in order to address that concern, I went back and spoke with the person in charge of regulatory for Verizon to see, what type of lighting they actually intended to use on this tower. And they confirmed that they intend to use continuous medium intensity red lighting. So it will not be strobe lighting, it will not be flashing lighting. And we've endeavored to address the concern of those residents in compliance with the regulations of the FAA and the condition imposed by planning. The tower itself, in addition to reserving space for the county, will also be built to accommodate additional carriers in order to minimize the proliferation of towers in this area. And that's it for now, unless you have any additional questions.
I do. In your last statement, you mentioned that the tower will be able to accommodate additional carriers. So can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Yes, I can. The tower will be built to accommodate a minimum of 3 additional carriers. And that could be raised from, any other entity out there that provides telecommunication services, whether it be AT&T, Sprint, T-Mobile, or even, the county, for emergency service purposes.
Just the county tower, or like if we want to make a device there, is that included in the 3?
Well, it's a minimum of 3. So it really depends on the loading of each individual entity that decides to co-locate. I'm guessing your needs would probably be fairly minimal.
Anyone on the board have any questions for Mr. Devon? And does Mr. Banks, he didn't sign up, and Mr. Banks, would you like to speak at this time? If not, your representative done enough job for you? All right, thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Okay. We do have a list of people who are in opposition of this. So at this time, I'd like to ask for, is it Ron Goolsby? Oh, it's Oglesby? Oglesby, I apologize. Mr. Oglesby, once again, state your name, your address. Our standard time is what, 3 minutes?
Standard time on the zone is minimum of, we have 10 minutes, and that is for a maximum of 27 minutes per side. So
Let's
they'll
repeat
have
that
to
again.
divide.
It's 10 minutes?
10 minutes minimum. They can have maximum of 20 and 40. I think make that decision on your fair. And that has to be per side. So
Right.
we're going to give them 10 minutes. They've got to divide it up. For 20 minutes, they're going to have to divide it up per side. And then they get a 5-minute rebuttal.
Rebuttal time. So at this time, I need to do I need to ask for a motion from the board? Since we do still decide on how many minutes we want to give the total group? 3, 4, we have 4, 1, 2, 3, we have 4 people that wants to speak this proposed. So, all right, so what is the desire of the board? We want to do 10 minutes, and each person, a total of 10 minutes. So that's all 4 people will have a total of 10 minutes. We divide those 10 minutes up among the 4. 2.5 minutes for each person.
Well, that's not very much time for 10 minutes for 4 people.
Madam Chair, you can go as high as 20 minutes.
All right,
It's
all right.
the board's discretion.
Well, that's what I'm asking the board now.
The
So,
ZPL only requires minimum 10 minutes. The county has a...
I'm sorry. Once again, we do not need these side conversations. We're trying to make a decision here. We need to be able to hear. Thank you. I'm sorry, the attorney speaking.
The ZPL requires a minimum of 10 minutes. The county ordinance is a little bit more favorable. It goes 10 to 20 minutes. The board's decision, it is per side. So if you have 4 people speaking, for instance, you decide 20 minutes, 5 minutes per person, they can, of course, sacrifice their time and allow some of their own time to allow others to speak longer. But it would be limited in order to make sure that everybody on that side has the amount of time to 5 minutes per side, or whatever a condition in this case is, 4, 5 minutes total. Does that make sense?
Thank you. I'm sorry.
I said here that I'd like to make a motion to allow it to 20 minutes.
Excuse me. So on the floor, we've had a motion to have a total of 20 minutes for each side. That means each person gets 5 minutes to speak, and then, so do I need a vote on this? We got a vote? I mean, we made a motion, I'm sorry. We made a motion, and then made a motion by Commissioner Threadgill, and was seconded by Commissioner Hatley. So at this time, I'd like to ask for a vote. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carries. All right, at this time, you have a total of 5 minutes to speak.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Rod Oglesby, Rod Oglesby Realty. I have for sale 2 tracts that are north of this property and where the tower is supposed to be put. That belongs to Christopher Nahami. And this tower is going to, and we had somebody interested in buying these 2 tracts. And when they found out that there's going to be a tower put there, they have pulled out. It's ruining the property there where they put in the tower. There's 5 or 6 parcels of land, a couple of homes there, and even over on the other road over there, the people are concerned about it being placed in there. And it's just not right to put it there. Now, Mr. Banks has got 52.5 acres over there. He's sort of misleading here. On this track, he's using 15 acres, but he's got a total of 52.5 acres. He needs to put the tower, if he's going to put the tower over there, and he'll get a monthly income from Verizon to have the tower there, he's the only one that's benefiting from it. He needs to put the tower in the middle of his property instead of down there on the side and ruin these other people's property to where they'll never be able to sell it, probably never be able to sell their homes. And he's getting down there to do that. We're not against cell towers, but he's putting it to hurt other people rather than himself. And also the tower was going down there with close to a couple of homes, and who knows about the health problems and so forth and all. And it's going to be lit at night. This is out in the country, people. And so we'd like for you all to use some common sense here and take your voters' property into consideration, and don't ruin their property when he's got other places that he can put the tower up closer to his home, and so forth and all. But anyway, appreciate your time.
The next person on the list is Ms. Pat Cregan. Oh, it's Mr. Cregan, I'm sorry.
Hello. I think I talk loud enough you guys can hear me. My wife and I moved from Atlanta down here about 8 years ago. We live on 3469 Old Duran Road. Our property goes back to Bob White Road. And we moved here to get out in the country, get away from the city, and look at nature and enjoy it. We've been working our butts off on our property ever since to get it the way we like it. This tower is going to be viewed from every point of our property, especially our backyard, through all our back windows. That's all we're going to see. There is no tree line that's going to cover it. As far as I'm concerned, I'm going to see the whole thing. So we adamantly oppose this thing, and especially where it's going. Like Rod said, he has plenty of other property to put this thing on to move it away from the view of us and the other people that live around there. But no, it's behind his property where he lives, where he doesn't have to see it. But we do. We're going to be looking right at it. It's devastating to us. And not only that, there's statistics show that your property values go down up to 20% in value. That's one thing. And I got a couple other things here real quick, because I know I'm limited for time, but here's from Verizon. This is the existing coverage that they have right now. If you look, there's a hunting club in downtown Greenville. And you can see what that existing coverage says, good coverage. The proposed coverage improvement goes to best coverage. Still on the hunting club, doesn't do anything for downtown Greenville. So now you got great coverage for the hunting club. That's great. I don't get it. I really don't. So that's the main reasons I'm opposing this. It's really bad for us and the neighbors around us who aren't here tonight, which I'm very disappointed. But anyway, that's all I got to say. Thank you.
Can you share with us where your property is located in relation to this? I'm sorry.
I'm next on the list, and I can do that.
Okay, that'll be fine.
area, the Hunt Club, that's the name of the tower, it's not a hunting club. Hunt Club is the name of the tower itself.
Okay. All right, thank you for clarification.
That's the name of the
Oh,
tower.
okay, gotcha.
Thank you.
You're welcome. State your name and your address, please.
I'm Stephanie Cregan, and we live at 3469 Old Durand Road. As you asked, I do have a map of our property. Our properties are outlined in pink. This is Leo Banks' property. We have, as you can see, 5 tax parcels that the county allowed to be divided that now will all be affected by a cell tower. Along with, I have a list of the letters that were mailed and all the improper addresses. And the biggest homeowner,
I'm sorry, you need to stand there and address the board as a whole.
the biggest, the most expensive homes in the area were not notified. According to the list, there were 8 people notified, most of which were vacant property owners. So there is no one that got notified of this. We have gone around and given people the packet but there's only 3 homes out where we live. Again, most of them are gated homes. You can't just walk up and talk to them. So we are opposed because we already, as my husband pointed out, we have Verizon coverage, and if you look at the Verizon maps that were in the city packet we obtained, the existing coverage is not extended that much by the location of this tower. There's other towers within 2 miles. Can they not be shared and expanded for better coverage? We're just looking at other options. As it was stated, Mr. Banks is going to get his taxes paid for the portion the tower is on. His roads are going to be graded and maintained. It would be much better to access it on his property up close to Bob White Road, where nature's not disturbed. We don't punch new roads in. It's up close to a county-maintained road. It would be more feasible for it to be up where he can enjoy the view he's going to get the road. What is our commissioner going to do for us? We pay taxes on 5 parcels of land. Now our value is decreased 20% because we are located right next to the tower. As our realtor that is trying to sell other property in the area pointed out, he's already had buyers back out. So we're concerned. We've spent 8 years developing our properties. Thank you.
Housekeeping matter, Madam Chair. I saw that we gave back the document sheet. Just in case of appeal, the appeal is subject to what's on the record, and I would like to have a copy of that document or more than one key, if that's okay. Sorry, I thought there was more than one. Thank you. I think she only handed her one. Is that correct?
Right, but the one that has the, it's 2. So you can have some.
Those are 2 different.
2 different coverage.
Yeah, correct.
First name is Christopher. Christopher, I can't.
Yeah.
I can't pronounce it, but I can't even read it. No offense.
That name is silent, it's Wama.
Wama? Christopher Wama.
And I'm
Thank
just
you.
arriving from Sunshine State. This is so important. This as Rod was saying earlier, I was the person, actually this tower is right behind my property. And about less than a month ago, we have, he called me up and said, well, we have a buyer. Everything was rolling along well until the guy found out about this tower, going in there. In the meantime, I had the letter that was sent to me, and I really didn't think so much about it until when the guy called and said, well, he's not going to go through with that sale because of that tower. So at that point, I decided that I will attend this. I just jumped out of my office jumped in the airplane, just arrived, and that's why I'm a little late, coming here, and I'll be flying back tomorrow morning, back to Florida, to show you how important this is to me, For other people, it may be theoretical, but for me, it's something practical. This tower is right behind my thing. As everybody has said, if Mr. Bank wants this, he can move that. He has 52 acres of, there. He can move it in the middle of his. There's no point for it to be next to other, neighbors. So, that's all I have to say. So I'm opposed to that 100%.
Mr. Don, you have 5 minutes? 5 minutes to do a rebuttal.
Sure. Okay. Multiple concerns have been raised, so okay, sure.
Feels a little slow.
Sure, no worries. Okay. I'd like to address each of the contentions that have been raised in turn. And, one that I'd like to address first is the issue of property values. The statistic was thrown out at 20%, but I would like to note that, no documentation has been provided to evidence that there would actually be that impact. And I'd like to enter into the records, some brief points about wireless service and its importance to property values. And, the concern of visibility has been raised, but as I noted, and as you can see from the aerial photos, the actual location where the tower is going to be placed is heavily wooded. And that was part of the consideration in placing the tower there was visibility and limiting the visibility of the tower. So the base of the tower, as I said, is not going to be visible at all. And the rest of the tower, the visibility is going to be limited depending on the actual location of the person who's doing the looking. So, we don't know right now, whether it will actually be visible from any given property, but from a lot of properties in the area, just based on the aerial photos, the visibility is going to be limited. Now, with respect to Mr. Nwana and Mr. Ogilvy's concerns, I would like to note that, the property that Mr. Nwana owns, it doesn't adjoin Mr. Banks' parcel. It appears from the aerial photos to currently be vacant. And, I couldn't determine, just from, searching the MLS whether there's actually a listing, and I couldn't find it on Mr. Ogilvy's website either. Maybe it has gone on sale recently, but, if it's not even being marketed publicly in the MLS, it's definitely premature to argue that there would be a property value impact because of the tower, just because of one deal that may have fallen through.
Question. I thought his property was right at the, I don't know if you're going to say north end property line of Mr. Banks. A narrow strip.
Yeah, there's actually a narrow strip in between. They don't actually touch.
Oh, we just had to show up on our maps.
Skip,
Okay.
I'm sorry. Skip, is there any way we can pull this area map up? I know you have something here. I can show you. I'm sorry.
The one that you just stated?
According to our tax map, it is adjacent.
Oh,
So
okay.
hopefully he'll be able to pull it up.
Okay, good.
We'll be able to see it, but based on our tax map, it does show adjacent to it.
Okay.
It's right, actually very close to.
Yes.
And then I'll make sure the other commissioners can see it.
Madam Chair, I'd like to ask a question while we're waiting on that. Is there any possibility that Mr. Banks would be willing to move the location of the tower to other parts of his property?
I think Probably not at this point. You know, I mean, Verizon's already invested a lot of money, you know, into, you know, doing the necessary research to determine, you know, what needs to be done here. And, you know, this actually minimizes the impact to the neighbors as opposed to, you know, the proposal that's been made to move the tower closer to the house, which would actually pose safety issues.
There's a lot of acreage, there's a lot of acreage in there.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
road side and where
yeah.
the house is located.
But one point that I would like to bring up is, you know, we don't necessarily know where they would like to place it. And, you know, if we, from a setback perspective, you know, if we move it down to the property line, you know, that could create setback issues as well.
He owns both pieces of that
He does own both pieces of the property.
His property, it just
Okay.
happens to be two
Okay.
houses.
So that would not create a setback issue?
I don't think so.
We can ask for Kathy to
Okay.
elaborate on that.
Look at the property line, it's two separate parcels, one's 35, some odd acres.
That's it, right there, it's in blue, the question, and Mr. Banks owns what's right below that.
This one down here, this is where it's back on there, this is 35 acres, some odd plus or minus. This is a 15 acres, this is what it's codified.
And the gentleman who has the adjacent property is right there.
One there
And one there.
Side.
And I'm sorry, Mr. Van, you're saying you cannot tell us exactly, you know the area, but you can't tell us exactly where the power's going.
I have some drawings that show that. Those should be available to you.
And on the property line, from what I checked out, coming from
that
property
direction.
line, 210 and 10 inches, I believe. And then 200 from Mickens property, I believe. Okay.
210, 211, 10, 11, 300 something, right at 300.
But, yeah, it's, yes, correct.
Gray, you have some comments on your question?
I was asking 210 feet, 300, that would be around an acre away from the other person's property.
Yeah, there are no, you know, residences close to the structure currently.
I'm sorry. Ms. Dozie, come on, no, remember, we gotta be respectful. He's on the floor now. Okay. Commissioner Regill, I think you had some questions or comments you wanted to
Well, the reason I asked about the power said several times that
Oh, I didn't say that they couldn't see any part of it. I said that the visibility would be limited. Generally speaking, yes, if you have line of sight. But that would be limited.
It's heavily wooded out there, and I think one comment you made, they wouldn't be able to see the base of it, and I don't see how, they wouldn't be able to, I've been out there, I've spent some time out there looking at it, definitely heavily wooded around that area. And there are other property owners who are not opposed to it. We talked to them as well. But the biggest question that I think Mr. Oglesby asked was that could it not be moved closer to his other parcel to get it away from get it close to the property line as it was gonna be to these other people's property line.
Right. I'm not sure I understand the exact nature of the concern, you know, and what would be an appropriate distance away, aside from what's provided for in the ordinance.
And I agree, because if it's
Yeah.
tall, I mean, if they can see it there, they're gonna see it if it's moved a few more feet. I
Right.
absolutely agree with that, so I don't understand quite that, other than it would be closer to.
I do have a question. You had mentioned that you were brought in, and maybe I misunderstood, that you mentioned health. What do you mean by that?
Oh, I didn't make any contention about health.
Okay, well, maybe I misunderstood it. Maybe that's how I did.
Right.
Yeah, by law, we can do
Right.
that. Mr. Gay seems to want to make some comments or bring something to state.
Yes, ma'am. I just,
We can't hear you.
sorry. I was just wondering, would there be any problem from your standpoint, just move it from the north line down somewhere toward the south line, somewhere in the middle of that square parcel there in the back?
Where would that be exactly?
Somewhere along in there. Yeah. That would kind of isolate it. back to the question I think that came up earlier, if it was down on the other line and we had a setback issue, the property, the gentleman owns other properties as well, so I don't think we have a problem with dealing with that. From the county standpoint, I don't think we violate setbacks, it's the other property, but they have to have another agreement, and if they take a, you know, a few acres out of each parcel, have the coop issue, but I think you can put it on that south line or wherever.
There was one additional issue that was raised that I would like to touch on, and that was regarding, whether the existing coverage is sufficient. And I would like to note that, coverage plots were provided in the Planning Commission hearing demonstrating the need for the tower, both the before and after plot showing, what the existing coverage is like and what the coverage would be like with the tower. Correct. They haven't actually done any clearing, or work on the access road or any of that. They would need to get the necessary permits before they do that. But, there are a lot of regulatory hurdles that Verizon has to jump through. They have to get approval from the FAA, which, for a tower of this height, could take 3 to 5 months. They do have to do a full NEPA study as required by the FCC, which, depending on the circumstances, can take another 6 to 8 months. No.
You mentioned earlier in your first presentation that the exact location of the document on the site. I thought you mentioned earlier that the exact location.
I don't recall saying that. You do have to determine a location in order to file and get FAA approval. So it has definitely been determined.
I have a comment, while we're considering this, just need to be careful that we're not set a precedent here. If we go into making something with this estimated here, and what are we going to do the next time it comes to Congo? Are we going to make them move that area also? So I think that's something that we do one, and when the next one comes up, are you ready to make them move also?
I don't think it's necessarily making them move, but it's giving them an opportunity to try to help make everybody happy. What I'm saying, people have a right to do on their property what they want. And we need cell phone towers. There's not one of us in this room that's not using a cell phone, I'm pretty sure. But at the same time, the people who live around it have a right as well. So if we can come to a compromise where the others would be happy if it was moved in some, we might at least look at it and try. That's all I'm asking. There's lots you can do just in being good neighbors, because they're all going to have to live around each other. Like I said, we know we need them. And from Mr. Oglesby, his comment was, we are not opposed to the cell phone tower. We just want it moved some. And I'm not saying that you have to do that. I'm just saying, is that a possibility to compromise so that the neighbors can be happy as well?
Well, at this point, I don't even really know how much, they want it moved, so it's very difficult to say.
Here's what I'll say. If it would be that we're contracting with Verizon Wireless and putting it on my property, hearing what I've heard throughout this county, the opposite of cell phone towers, everybody knows when it doesn't work, it doesn't work. There's no reception, no reception. I honestly think that I would put that tower as close to my residence as I could, instead of putting it at another end away from me, so that I don't have to see as much, but my neighbors may have to see it. And I'm the one that's free to allow Verizon to put it there. I would probably put it as close in as I could, instead of taking other people's end. And even if that is a perception, it may not be accurate, but it may be a perception of what would be there.
Understood. And, maybe this is a consideration that could be taken into account in future ordinance amendments.
Yeah.
Okay.
But unless there's any other questions from the board, or if any other commissioner has any questions or comments, not Kathy, do you want to?
Okay, thank you very much. I wish you had this out here when I was up here before. I have been over there. I've just about memorized that area over there and so forth and all. Now, you're talking about a tower that's 250 feet high. The trees out there are probably 40 to 50 feet high. That's 200 feet above the trees. I mean, Mr. Devine wants to make a big deal out of it's wooded. That's true. But the purpose of putting the tower out there is to get it above everything else so it can communicate with everybody. That's the purpose of it. And there's people that live here, The piece of property I got for sale is right here. They wanting to put the tower right here. Another thing, from the best I can tell here, is the tower is 250 feet high, and looks to me like it's only 210 feet from this line right here. That means if it falls over, then 40 feet of it's going to fall on somebody else's property. Right?
There was an engineer.
The what? I didn't really
I said there's an engineering
doesn't fall like that, that the rest falls up.
You're certified to fall.
Well, Mr. Cripple over there hit it on the head, and that is 52.5 acres out here. Why run all this property around here? These poor people around there, off the property, on the property, having money in it. Why run home there so he can move the tower back up here? So he can put it closer to his home. He loves cell towers. Right? Huh? Okay. None of y'all want to sell tower next to your home. Right? Nobody in this room wants to sell tower next. But anyway, we've had a good discussion here. Common sense, I think, needs to rule here, and to have. How many more minutes? Oh, okay. All right. Well, okay. Well, you all get the point. Use some common sense. That's what you're here for.
We have 2 more minutes.
Okay. You want?
I just want to say that it's been brought up several times how heavily wooded it is. They're large hunting ranches, so yes, it is densely populated, but the map I gave you that shows all the parcels we all own was zoned to sell for single homes to be built on, which is why some of the people have a vested interest in losing property values. We can't sell any parcels to build new homes with a 265-foot cell tower. We all pay taxes. You mouth, no, I wouldn't want a cell tower in my backyard. We don't want it in our backyard either. If it is placed, we'll accept it with certain conditions, but we ask that Leo gets to look at it too. If we're all going to get to look at it, he should enjoy the view also. That's all we're asking. If it happens, we'll accept it with consideration and modifications for solid red lights. There's no tree ever going to be 265 feet tall. We will all see it. It is densely populated now. There are several large homes and hunting ranches.
We have 22 seconds. Is there anyone else like to speak at this time before we go out of public hearing? I want to give everyone that opportunity.
Y'all do want to keep this instead of closing up to the board, but
Because I believe you're going to check the right to see if there was something.
Yeah, but there's the problem that, even if I were to go back to the right at this point and the location, whatever we come up with, we have an idea that whether or not
Right, at this time, Commissioner, Helen, this is in your district. Is there anything?
I would like to continue it if you're willing to reconsider and see if there's another location.
But the problem is, we come back and
You're exactly right.
situation, it is a location. Now that actually said that the project has probably a year.
I mean, we can continue it, you can decide whether to come back, and then if they don't come back, I guess we can vote on it.
we could actually, the boards have to go through and bring it back. I think that the problem is, we could probably actually have a cell tower rip, property owner makes, has concerns, the board comes back, or do a lot of movement with where it's going to fit, and to see if there are any, I've heard tonight from the guys out from the residents, we don't mind it being there, we just don't want it to stop where it is. So if both parties, all parties are willing to compromise a little bit, then maybe it can materialize.
I want to ask whether my citizens that's here that are out being a state. Can we ask that question tonight? Yes, rather than think that it's what they have tonight, that they can take with that, not to make it fully up, but then to answer the question of, they stated that when it was supposed to the property owner's home, what is there? If that would be the case, would they still be operating under the power of the
I think most of the folks said, that's what they said. I know it's what Mr. Oglesby told me, that if they can move it closer, we're not opposed to it. Is it that, I think we got an email that says that same thing from him. If it was closer, and he's representing the property that's generally on the property line.
We kind of, we hold people in opposition.
Right, that are here tonight, if Verizon was able to move that closer to the property owner's home, the property owner was in agreement to do that, then tonight, in opposition to the location that they'll not do it.
Are you saying that it came back from the public hearing and they were all in opposition?
No, I'm trying to determine if there's really.
Is there any need coming back? Or if he moves it, are they gonna still be against it based on that?
Also, we
Well,
want
I
to
mean,
say
I can't answer whether or not they,
He's
I know
asking,
you
can he
can't,
ask?
but can they?
He's asking, can he ask?
They just want to ask the people that are opposed to it, if there was a modification to the plan that was located, would they still be opposed to a tower there?
Here,
you're
I'm gonna
saying,
do it
can
anyway.
you make that question right now, Bob? Let me hear it.
I'm gonna do it anyway, so we can do it on record. The citizens that are here, and Mr. Hope, that have signed up to oppose this tonight, we don't want to continue something that is going to be the same case at another day. So we can try to figure this out, so Verizon can try to figure this out, so the property owner can try to figure this out. We don't want to do a continuation. If we are able, if Verizon is able to move forward, the property owner is in agreement with moving that tower much, much closer to his own residence. The people that are in opposition tonight, you be okay with that?
Much, much closer, meaning the parcel that is.
That was my question.
It's on.
It will move.
Sorry.
Listen to me, it's very simple. Yes or no? Move it in closer to his property, closer to his residence. All I need, I guess, is a yes or no, or are we gonna be back in the same situation when we put it back on there? It's yes or no.
Well, no, I'm sorry. Ladies and gentlemen, we are trying to resolve this, and I cannot allow everyone to talk over each other. So you need to acknowledge the board before you start speaking. right now, we're in the discussion as far as the board as a whole, okay? So Commissioner Gregor has the floor. Once again, would you clarify what it is that you're asking? Before anyone else speaks, please let him finish his comments. Thank you.
I know you're asking. I think I finished my question. If we are to, if we can do that, Verizon, they can handle their part. If the property owners are in agreement there, move that power toward their home, would you guys be okay? Because it's not within the right action situation, and that's not something I want to do.
Commissioner Gregor, is that it?
That's it.
Comment? Okay. I'm sorry. One second, our attorney wants to
For the
speak.
purpose of the public hearing, you're asking a question, why don't you ask each one individually, yes or no? So that, you don't have to have a hypothetical, you can get that on the record or each one.
So what you're saying, we just need each individual who is opposed to make a statement? Yes or no? Okay.
Whether or not,
Yes, if it was up front.
Okay, that's fine. Mr. Keith, I'm sorry.
Yes or no?
I would say yes, if it,
Thank you. Who are the others? Mr. Ogilvy, yes or no? Yes. Thank you. And, do you have another? You're still there? Yeah. Then you'd be okay with that? Okay, thank you all.
which that's the application.
Yeah, Mr. Devon? That same question's on the floor.
It's a difficult question to answer just because of the unknowns right now. Because, we could say there won't be any objections, but, if we move it, there's always the potential that someone will come back and say it's not enough. And, if we were somehow to move it onto the other parcel, then, what if people on the south side say, well, now it's too close to our parcels?
I asked my question to the
Yeah.
individual who were here in the office. So I know you were in a sensitive situation, and we would much more time to go back to Verizon and find out what to do. But I just need an answer from the solicitor here tonight to let us know if this goes forward, are they agreeing to all this?
Well, we need to know, are you willing to look at it? He says he's not willing to even look at it, if you're not, then I think it's over anyway.
Given the uncertainties, I think it would be probably better right now just to evaluate, whether it meets the criteria in the ordinance and the proposed conditions from the Planning Commission.
So at this time, we need to get a motion to come out of public hearing. So at this time, I need a motion that we come out of public hearing for case number 13. Is there a second? Okay, there's been a motion and a second to go out of public hearing. Can I get a vote? All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carried. We are now out of public hearing. This time, I'd like to give a motion regarding case number 13.
That is in my district, and I'd like to comment before we do. I'm all about compromise. We're getting along, and I really feel like we've offered an opportunity here, something to work for everybody. And it was done, so my recommendation is going to be to deny the request.
And I'll second.
So there's been a motion and a second. At this time, I'd like to call for a vote. All those in favor? Anyone opposed or abstained? Okay, motion carries.
That motion carries. That motion carries.
Motion carries. Thank you all. So we have one more public hearing, and these public hearings, I do apologize, are quite lengthy. Case number 14, I need a motion that we go back in public hearing to hear case number 14. Is there a second? Okay, there's been a motion and a second. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carried. We are now back in public hearing. Ms. Kathy?
Madam Chairman, this particular case, the agent was not able to be here tonight. Has the board made a decision as to whether they would like to continue this with the property owners present?
Do you need a motion there, Madam Chair?
But they're already on there with their name. It's already on there, so that's fine.
Okay. We have case number 14, which is an application for a 300-foot telecommunication tower located at 6536 Luthersville Road. The agent on this was Tom Winowski. He's not able to be here because of a family emergency, but we do have the property owners, and I do see on the agenda it says Debbie, but that is Raymond and Peggy Cox. This property is located at 6536 Luthersville Road in Gay. The current zoning on the 20 acres is LDR, which will allow cell phone towers with approval of a special use permit. The proposed 100 by 100 tower site will be accessed by an easement off of Luthersville Road under a lease agreement and will contain a 304-foot self-supporting tower. The additional footage there is for the lightning rod at top. The subject property is currently under a conservation use covenant. Under our state code, leasing a portion of the property for cell tower will not constitute a breach. However, that portion of the parcel shall cease to be subject to the covenant and will be taxed at fair market value. The proposed special use is for an activity that is protected by the Federal Telecommunications Act of 1996, and Meriwether County zoning ordinance incorporates buffers and setbacks to support the neighborhood while allowing a federally protected tower. Based on our staff review and analysis of the information as was presented, supplemental information as requested, site review, and review of the surrounding areas, the applicant will comply with Meriwether County Zoning Ordinance Article 9, Communication Tower Regulations. The staff recommends the grant of a special use permit to the applicant upon the applicant's compliance with the following conditions. Again, we have 17 different conditions, 10-foot to the on the tower for the installation of Meriwether County communication equipment at no cost. The easement access will be constructed based on the Public Works approved pipe size and driveways. All emergency numbers, emergency 24-hour, 365-day-a-year contact information provided for all of our emergency services. The tower fall zone will be no less than 304 feet from all property lines except one on the east side, which is 301 feet. So the 3 feet of the lightning rod would actually be over the property line. Again, we're talking about secure gates to prevent any kind of unauthorized traffic. The buffer is required. The property owners in their agreement with the company asked to have board-on-board fencing, which is a no-climb fence, and they also would like to ask not to have to put 2 rows of barbed wire, which was put on there at the Planning Commission, but I wanted to mention it to the board to be sure you understand that they are asking for that. We don't have to worry about slats because we got a board fence. If the facility is damaged in any way, they must make prompt repairs upon notice to the tower owner. If it's inoperable or is not constructed within beginning 12 months from the date of approval, the facility will be removed at the owner's or an applicant's expense and the property restored to the pre-development condition to 36 inches below grade. They also have to give us a plan for removal and restoration of the property at the end of the life of the facility. They must maintain the grass and brush and other vegetative growth. The special use permit shall allow use of property for only one telecommunication tower, tower height not to exceed the permitted height of 304 feet. Any required or planned lighting will be established so that the adjacent properties and roadways are not adversely affected and to preclude glare onto or direct illumination of adjacent properties and streets. Again, they're asking for no strobe lighting. The final inspection will be done by a structural engineer licensed in the state of Georgia prior to a final inspection of the completed facility. We will have a pre-development site plan on hand indicating the buffer, grading, and erosion and soil control for the site. They have to meet all local, state, and federal regulations governing telecommunication towers, and we do have the FAA determination of no hazard to air navigation letter presented, as well as the Roosevelt Warm Springs Airport has already agreed that it is no hazard. A note that I would like to also mention is this tower went before the Board of Commissioners and passed for approval back in 2017, but this requires a resubmittal since no action was taken by the company within the 12 months of that approval. So it has gone before the board, it was approved, but it was 2 years ago, so they're having to resubmit.
On this hearing, I only have one person who speaks that takes time.
I just want to say, we need this tower. We need a tower. We're growing so fast here. Cell phones don't work. My landline has been out for 4 days. AT&T is on strike. It cannot be fixed. I can't even get Verizon to work. So I'm hoping that you'll pass this again. I've been working on this for 3.5 years, and I'm tired of waiting for it. I may decide different. But does anyone have any questions? It is far from everybody's property line, and I will look at it out my kitchen window. And I've had one before and looked at it in my business, and you know, after 2 or 3 months, you don't even know it's there. Unless you walk around looking up all the time. So if you don't have any questions, that's all I got to say. And thank y'all.
Thank you. Anyone from the board have any questions for Ms. Thompson?
I don't have any questions, I have a verification, and most of them know to try to get me on the cell phone that I might have no service. So this will help me. This is line of sight on that.
Thank you. It doesn't show that anyone signed up in opposition, but I do need to put it out on the floor. Is there anyone in opposition who would like to speak at this time? If not, at this time, after hearing, if there are any other commissioners have any comments or anything, as the state earlier, this has been brought to the board previously, and it was voted on to approve. So at this time, what's the reason to have anybody to come and voice opposition if you're not going to listen to what that opposition is? Sometimes the opposition is viable, and sometimes there's a compromise. There is no opposition. And and I don't think the height of the tower is in attention here. We got a 300-foot tower and a 250-foot tower. But I don't think the height of it is a problem on the whatsoever.
Nevertheless, for us to sit here as a board and to make decisions one way one time and another way another time, it doesn't make sense. But you said yourself that you had people that did not oppose,
but they wouldn't come and say anything. They were not willing to come and say anything.
But I think we have to live by what we believe.
And I do want to comment, because I did make the second on this motion for the first time. And it was a little bit more, not a little, it was a lot more involved. There were people who had concerns. There were people who did not want to take their property. Every citizen, every taxpayer, every landowner has a right to voice their opinion and what they want. We don't have that in this thing. So I think that we have to look at what the taxpayers and the citizens
out of public hearing. So there's been a motion and a second. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carries. We are currently out of public hearing. At this time, I'd like to get a motion on the floor regarding case number 4.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to all of the population.
There's been a motion and a second. I'm not sure. At this time, I'd like to ask for a vote. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Okay, motion carries. Once again, I'd like to thank all of those who have stepped through our public hearing. Been to other commissioners' meetings. They can be quite long and lengthy and a lot of discussion. Moving on to the agenda is unfinished business. We do not have any. Our new business, the first item on our new business is our sewer ordinance reading number 2, and that is with Mr. Gay.
Chairman, Commissioners, you have in your package a copy of the ordinance. It is a 50-page document. Madam Chairman, Commissioners, you have in your package a copy of the sewer ordinance. It is a 50-page document. And we've gone back and take a look at this. There are a couple of other things that need to be included on it, and it will be ready to put in place. There are a couple of references back to other code sections that are not used, just don't make a lot of sense. So I need to go back and address that. And then I also need to establish talk with the water and sewer department on Thursday, this Thursday. And we're really talking about this ordinance. We're also talking about a sanitary sewer industrial pre-treatment enforcement response plan. That enforcement response plan will allow us to be able to take this ordinance and have a procedure to enforce it if we have to violations. And I know that these things have passed, but Mr. Stevens and I were talking earlier tonight before the sewer department, and it would be really kind of force everybody in at the local level. So I'd be happy to answer any questions. This ordinance again mimics the city of Oakville ordinance for the compliance with their permits. And like I said, the only changes we need really at this point, a couple of points of reference, and then add in the penalties and the fees, and then adopt and have the clerk supervisor adopt that report.
Based on recommendations from our county administrator, we have I'd like to get a motion on the floor regarding this. There's a second? Okay, there's a motion and a second that we accept the full ordinance second reading. This time I'd like to ask for a vote. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
We'll make the final changes and bring it back.
The next item is commission appointment to the complete count committee. I know Commissioner Hadley is working on that as well, but Commissioner Hadley, would you like to speak on that, or do you?
For each one of us from our district, we're ready for one.
The ordinance that you guys did last time, kind of said that.
This is for the complete count, which is the census count. So at this time, what we're needing to do is just see if anyone on the board has and a second. Any other discussion? If not, I'd like to call for a vote. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carries. So at this time, we will be able to finish this out at our next meeting. Commissioner Gray and myself and Commissioner McCoy, they have someone else to respond to that. Okay. The next item is broadband ordinance. This is the first reading.
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. I wanted to start working with the broadband ordinance, and a lot of what we had that was try to. We looked at this broadband ordinance, try to bring it back first reading, and get some direction forward. But the draft that we provided, and we'll move forward however we do this, but the draft that we provided basically negates any of the, or a lot of the control that the county commissioners may have of this. It sits, and again, this is as the sample provided us. It limits you guys in terms of time. It says we've got a application today, we've got to let go within 10 calendar days before it's approved, considered approved. It also says that, when they, it's incomplete, they turn it around, you've got to end in calendar days. And it even says that this would be before the board of commissioners within calendar days. And then it also indicates that if there's another agency, state or federal, that's approved this, that basically overrides the county ordinance. And I'm not so sure that's exactly, we want to promote broadband, but I think it, just like we heard tonight, we need some input, we need some time to review this. So I kind of want to get some direction forward and see if you guys saw this the same way that I do. We want to welcome broadband, but we don't want to give away the regulatory control to our citizens here in Gillette County. So if you guys can give me some feedback on that, we got the work started. I plan on having a draft today, but before I read over, I thought, well, I'm not sure this is where it's really going to go. So I just need some feedback from the board, because we certainly want to promote it, do everything we can. We need it here and there where it's got very badly. But I also understand that we don't necessarily turn full control over to the broadband company and say, so I wanted to be sure that you guys saw this the way I did, and we'll have you guys have.
I'd like to make a comment on that. That template was given to the county from Three Rivers. And it was a general thing to meet the needs of everyone in a very broad perspective. So we do need to tailor it a little bit more for Marion County because of our uniqueness. And so I would like to make a recommendation that we look at similar counties to us that are also, because this is something that's being required on the state level as well as federal, because without this broadband resolution ordinance, it's going to make it very difficult to apply for grants that are being available through USDA and on the state level. So I would honestly suggest to the board that we not only look at what other counties similar to us, but also look at what are those perimeters that USDA is asking, so that we won't limit ourselves from not being able to get some of those funding, so that if there's private partnership with other entities, that we are just as competitive about getting those dollars. So that would be my suggestion to the board. Is there any other commissioner who want to make a comment or have any other statements of concern?
I think it definitely is tailored to us. And calendar days is long enough to do anything.
No, and sometimes that would require you guys to have a special meeting or doesn't do Kathy's office period of time to review it. And I had tailored it. I mean, I started out tailoring it, but I got to the point I thought, wow, this is coming, especially when it said, well, it's been approved by another entity like the federal or state, and, it shall be I just think we need some reasonable period of time. What I'll do is I will try to back the draft this, here with the county taking into consideration the White County of Georgia. And then I'll get this back along with maybe a copy of the draft, without, where I change it, et cetera. So,
And one thing I do ask the board and for you, Mr. Gates, as we're looking at this, part of the biggest challenge is resource and funding. And so we do want to put ourselves in a position where whatever that funding is available for broadband, that we are going to be competitive. I don't want to restrict ourselves if we're not able to be competitive with the other counties. Georgia got 129 little counties. They're all trying to put this broadband in this. From my understanding from Three Rivers, you have to have this ordinance in place even to apply. So we want to make sure that while we are putting this together, that we're going to make sure we're competitive. So in that case, we don't need to make any kind of vote or decision on this
I
at this
just
time.
need some direction, and I'll bring it back to you.
Right, thank you. Moving on to the next item is discussion of inmate crew and other options for road maintenance. I don't know if Bill is still here, made it through? It's still here, okay. This is something that I've asked the board as well as Mr. Gates to put back on the agenda. There are some things that have been brought to our attention, some challenges that we are experiencing in public works. So at this time, I don't know if we want to start the conversation off, Bill or Mr. Gates, but we come back and address it again.
We've, this was before the board, back earlier in the year. And we hoped at that time that you guys have staffing and everything. The problem is that, there's a lot of activity in the construction area right now, a lot of jobs available for those that work in that area. And we found it just, very difficult to get really few workers. I think we have 5 or 6 vacancies, still 6 vacancies.
One on medical.
Right.
Sorry, you said we have 6 vacancies and 1 is medical?
I think they have two new hires that they just coming on.
But it's just been really, despite all the efforts, despite all the advertisements, it's been difficult to really sustain a full workforce. And so we kind of felt it was maybe time to get back and talk about some other options road work and everything that needs to be done, because there is really more to try to get to. And so we really wanted to kind of talk about this. The issue, I guess, with the inmate crews is they're not that skilled workers, but they can clean out ditches, put up various other things, right, cut grass, and there may be some other options that we're concerned with. So we wanted to really bring that back tonight and discuss.
Thank you. This was something that I really felt was necessary for us to look at and bring it back. As Mr. Gage just mentioned, this is not just a challenge for Marietta County, it's a challenge everywhere to find skilled workers. And most of us here on this board would say that the more our talk about roads than anything, and it's not just, and it always has been and probably will always be. But once again, we cannot do the work that's required if we don't have the manpower to do it. And knowing that this is going to be an ongoing challenge, I have made the proposal that we do look at getting state and names from Harris County. I think the initial proposal that was brought indicated that you can have 5, and the initial cost was initially $67,000 for the first year, and then the second year goes down to $57,000.
$44,000 annually for the benefits and salary, and then $10 a day.
And I have
Equipment.
I would like to have that. I agree. We have to do some kind of inmate part is probably a band deal or probably need to look at a multitude of things in order for them to go forward with one thing not going to be. So I think it's going to be realistic. All of it probably looking at the possibility for what they can do my field, medical field, we have 24/7 workers. We have people that work somewhere in a doctor's office or stay-at-home mom, stay-at-home dad during the week, but they want to do what's called a favor shift on the weekend. So the other parent's home on the weekend, so that parent can go out and go to work, and it's Saturday, Sunday. So, thinking about how it works in my field, maybe we could hire 2 to 3-man crews and have that 2 to 3-man crew work this weekend, have another 2 to 3-man crew work next weekend, and then swap them out, because there's people out there that want to make that additional money, but they wouldn't be full-time. They would already have benefits from another job, and we could continue work, and our ditches, our right-of-ways, everything is worse than I've ever seen in this county. And we've got to do something. I think those 2 days of continuous work and having somebody out there would help to provide additional, it would get it done a lot quicker. Plus, if we could take away from our regular staff being on call that weekend, and whatever team is out there working on that weekend, have them to be on call too, if it's something that they have to do. But I think we have to look at many, many things in order to try to solve and get where we need to be.
Thank you, Commissioner Trigo.
That might be a,
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Commissioner,
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Commissioner McCoy has the floor.
Okay, thank you anyway. You're absolutely right, and we have been kicking this thing down the road and looking at it and talking to several folks. And, Madam Chair, you're right, labor is a major problem. Labor is going to continue to be a problem, I'm afraid, as we go into the future. And as you look at our aging down here in Public Works, I asked the question a while ago, is our average age closer to 60? It probably is. We're going to be facing here in the near future a diminished workforce. And if you stop and look at our school system as a gauge, we have fewer and fewer people even coming on the workforce, let alone working in Public Works. This does not seem to be a field of choice to do the manual labor and sort of things that we have there. And listening to everybody, what you said, Madam Chair, what Commissioner Brent Gill said, I would propose that we set up a ad hoc committee, maybe with a couple of commissioners and whoever we can pull this thing together, and just sit down and go through every option that's out there and see what we can do. And I'm certainly not opposed to using contractors where contractors make sense. Now, don't put it out that I just said I was going out with contract with Public Works. That's not what I said. There's still going to be a role for Public Works, certainly, but I think where we could use them, I think that's something we're going to have to consider, and I would propose that to the board. Let's set up a committee and go out.
All right, Commissioner Gray, do you have anything or any comments?
No, I think that tonight we need to finish up the funding thing to see where we are on that, and then maybe at another time we can discuss the other options that's available. But right now at hand, I think we need to review that.
Thank you. Commissioner Hadley, do you have anything you want to
The only
add?
other thing I was going to say, I mean, we got to do something different. I think that's a given. And getting people to come and work on weekends, I think it's a good idea, but I think we still got the issue of there's not a lot of people out there who do this kind of work, so.
And it may not.
I'm not saying that we, obviously, I think we probably ought to look into it, but I want Commissioner Bray on this. I think, why not try the inmate labor, at least to cover those some areas that we're talking about? I mean, I realize if we don't do it 2 years, we're really not coming out good on our money. We need to do it more than 2 years because we've got that reduced amount coming up after your initial cost. But I think we're going to see that frees up maybe some of the folks that we do have doing some of the more the skilled workers to do the things that they need to do. So, but I'm not opposed to looking into the other stuff as well.
I'm just thinking about the big equipment.
Yeah, the inmates are not going to do that anyway.
No, we can't put them on.
You can't, they can't do
And if
that.
we have the inmates and we have other folks, there's enough work to do.
Look, I can solve it for you right now if we can put a robot inside of these big pieces of machine and give a child a remote.
You're right.
We got a whole county.
Okay, I just want to make one more comment so that we can move forward on this. The night is getting long. I do feel that there are different options and we need to look at all possible options, but until we come up with something, I think for immediately, because even if we vote on this tonight, it's going to take 3 to 4 months just to get that crew in. When I brought it to the floor in February, we didn't make a decision then. We would just now be receiving those inmates. So even if we vote on tonight, it's not like we're going to get them tomorrow. It is a process to get them to come in. Most counties who initially got rid of their campsite find that it's very difficult now to operate. First of all, as Commissioner McCoy stated, it's just hard to find these skilled workers, and those who are skilled, who have their CDL license, are not going to come and work for the pay scale that we're offering in Marietta County. We just need to be realistic about that. When big companies are paying them double or even 3 times more. So once again, to do the work where we can keep our skilled workers on those jobs, we've got 5 groves still out. We have cities that are requesting our need, and we want to accommodate them. And knowing that we have approximately 6 people not available to work as of today is very challenging enough. And want the citizens to know we're trying to do everything that we can. As I said earlier, if you know someone who wants a job, we definitely have a job for them. But most times they come and, let's be realistic, they work, what, Bill, 2 weeks?
3 or 4 months, maybe.
And then they go. And as soon as they get that experience or get their CDL license, they go somewhere else. So even at that, we still got to figure out a way that we have a pay scale or some incentives where people will come and stay. We have to maybe talk about our benefits.
Yeah, we have made some good strides in that, and we made some good strides in the pay scale. It's just not going to happen overnight.
What's the total amount? Does it have to be a 2-year contract? Is that?
I do believe it has to be a 2-year contract. I mean,
$67,000 initial startup.
Right.
$67,500.
And then how much roughly per year?
I think about 57.
On top of that.
No,
Normally
it reduces to
57.
57.
So the 67 startup, does that include the labor?
Capital purchase like a van or.
A van.
Okay, so for 2 years, 2 years, we're gonna spend about $124,000 for somebody that can't even operate a piece of equipment except for a weed eater.
Yeah, but they're going to take care of a
No,
lot
I
of
know
stuff.
they are, but I'm just trying to think, what if we took that money and increased salaries to get people in here that can do the extended
That's still
job?
not all those people are out there though, right?
But if, I know, I wonder if we offered, I agree, we gotta look at all of it.
I mean, it's, and I would like to speak at this time. I hear what both of you are saying, but when we had the storm that came through and the debris, that took a lot of manpower away from the roads that we needed to do. But because of the emergency, we had to get that debris out of the roads as quick as possible. So which means we had to assist Greenville, we had to assist Lutherville, and we had a limited workforce to do that. We did a great job with the time that we had. But once again, if we had this manpower, they could have been working on that. The skilled workers, it's very hard to identify them now, and most of them who have their CDL license and they're certified, I hate to say it, but they're not going to come and work for Marietta County for $14 an hour when they can go work for C.W. Matthews for $20 to $25 an hour. Now, you have to sell the benefits, but at the end of the day, it would not hurt us to initially cast a vote on this, I think, tonight, because even if we did, we're not going to get the people tomorrow. And we initially voted to hire 3 people in public works, and that was going to run us right at $220,000 a year, and we have not been able to
No,
even
it was
do
6.
it. It was 6 people, I apologize.
And I did have some more to what I was saying earlier, I didn't get to finish.
All right,
So,
Commissioner, go right ahead.
I had another question from my part. I agree, we're gonna have to do something, and this may be the thing, I hate doing a 2-year contract on it, because we don't know really how it's gonna benefit, or if it, I'm sure it will some, is it gonna be noticeable, is it gonna be that much of a help? And then in 2 years, if we have spent this $124,000 for inmate labor, and we don't see that big of a difference in it, maybe we should have considered taking that $124,000 and dividing it by an hourly rate to increase somebody's hourly so that we can get those people in
That's
here.
still no guarantee that you keep.
It's not, but it's just.
And you look at cities and counties use inmate labor though, and it works.
No, I understand.
It
But
parks.
But I'm saying, our ditches are so bad, the trees are as big around as we do need to do this, because we need the help with it. And it'll bring us, but my other question is, how will this play with the sheriff's department having another county's deputy in here and with the inmates? Does it,
I don't think, it's a state inmate.
if something happens, do you have to house them if it's an emergency, or?
Guard on surveillance.
So they'll house them there? Okay.
Warden will give that guard instructions on what to do with anything.
Yeah, I just didn't want to put any more on you if it was an emergency. Right.
But I do want to make one more statement. There are a lot of surrounding counties that are using this service. And the good thing is the state facility is in Harris County. So it's not like we've got to go that far to get the inmates. It's not like it's they're coming from Upson County or something it's right next door to us. So unless there are any other discussion on
I
this.
do have one more.
Okay, Commissioner Beckdahl?
Mr. Hadley and I actually went over to Harris County and met with them about the trash service that they do also. And my understanding is that it's an 8-hour day from the time they leave to the time they return, not 8 hours in the county. So it's depending on what time they get there, the loading up. This is all counted in time. We're not going to get these inmates for 8 hours. And I'm not against this. I don't want anybody to think that. I'm just trying to think logically on every part of it.
You might average 7
We may get
hours.
they said 5.5 to 6 hours by the time they
That's
travel
true,
back.
'cause I did the time running to and from.
Honestly, we're not gonna know until we try it.
Right,
To be
I
honest with
agree.
you. And we don't have to renew it after that time. We just gotta do something, like I said, we gotta do this other too. We've got to see about contract, we got whatever it takes, whether it's salaries or
Right.
whatever. But
And I'll
I
be
think
honest, the only reason I'm saying anything about it is because I'm tired of being ridiculed and I don't want to be criticized for spending $124,000 and people say it really doesn't look like anything's done.
I think we'll see it.
I do too.
You can put them on one end of the road, tell them to march to the other end, cut it all down.
Madam Chair, just one additional comment. And I'm not opposed to this prison thing, if that's, if the board wants to go that route. But I still think we have got to jockey for position so we can become proactive. Every time I look at Sue's report that she prepares for Public Works, there's been, they've had to go out and take dead trees out of the road. Trees have fallen. You see 2 or 3, 4 or 5 a month. They're just nothing but trees. If you're driving around this county, you see dead trees out there on the right of way, just a tremendous amount of those things. We shouldn't wait till they fall. We need to be proactive enough that we take that stuff down.
Probably need to set a work session to discuss it.
We probably do.
You need a crew that can come in right after that tree's down and saw that.
Get it out of there.
But that still requires manpower.
State
But at the
does,
end of
they
the
just
day,
leave it on the right of way.
it's still manpower.
That's right.
At the end of the day, it's all about
Regardless of
manpower.
who it is or what they are.
Whether they're inmates or regular people, at the end of the day, we have the manpower. And if we're averaging 5 to 6 people short every day, that means we don't have manpower.
Even just with the current staffing that you have now, during the summertime, if you pull those crews to deal with all these trees, you're gonna pull away from right of way, pull away from motor grader, you're gonna pull away from all those operations. Now, during the winter, it could be a different scenario. We could change all the motor grader crews, the right of way crews, and all go after trees.
The road conditions this hasn't happened in this last few years.
Oh, no.
It's gone. You mentioned the huge trees and all. It's been a problem for a long time.
That's where you have your most issues, like it or not, is where most of our issues are, roads, always have them.
Okay, but if there's no other discussion or comments, I'd like to get a motion that we go into a contract and looking at bringing inmates to work in Public Works. Okay.
Now, are we going into an agreement with, or are we going into an agreement to have them do look into this?
We don't have to agree.
Yeah.
No, we're going to look into it. Because, I mean, we're bringing the agreement, because I've already brought it to Mr. Gay and but the motion is for Mr. Gay or Bill to bring back a contract. Is that
Probably need to contact the warden and see.
from the board and see
She's
what
telling me
the
it's a 5 to 6 month endeavor just to get the staff hired and trained.
even
Maybe we just need to just make that initial contact, see whether we stand now. See if there's been any changes to the
I
cost.
second the motion.
All right, so there's been a motion and a second that we go after looking at the contract to bring inmates to work in Public Works.
Now, we're saying as quickly as we can get this done, Mr. Bill, we put them on the roads, even if it's the winter.
Well, he says a 5 to 6 month process, so you're talking after
Saying once they're in
Christmas
place.
before you
Well, that's not
get
what I'm saying, but it's still winter months.
Oh, yeah.
Can we go ahead and put them out there then?
Yeah, unless it drops below 28 degrees, if it's an emergency, and your staff's out there working, the board can waive that, and it can work. That's gonna be the board's call on that. And in Cali, we had an emergency, we went out below 38, as long as the employees were out there working.
All right, so there's been a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? If not, I'd like to call for a vote. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. The next item is confirm August the 30th, 10 a.m. SCM for public hearing. Special call meeting for public hearing for the adoption of the millage rate. I'm sorry.
Madam Chairman, Commissioners, this is just before we can be sure to get it back in the minutes, because we talked about several different times for the meeting. So this will set your meeting for August 30th at 10 o'clock, and we'll have a public hearing and then adopt the millage, and that's this Friday.
That's this Friday.
That's this Friday. School system is supposed to do theirs Wednesday, I think so we'll have those documents and have all that thing back, to the board for y'all.
So we just need a motion to confirm the public hearing.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there a second?
Second.
So there's been a motion and a second to confirm a public hearing on August the 30th at 10 a.m. Any more discussion? If not, I'd like to ask for a vote. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is execution of a quick claim deed on abandoned section of Weaver Park Road. Mr. Gay, do you want to go ahead and verify that?
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chairman, Commissioners, you guys have previously held a meeting on the abandonment of that section of roadway, and it was approved for abandonment. The determination no longer served a public purpose, and with that, one of the issues and requirements in your ordinance is that the applicant and all prepared the deeds and all for this. So you have two quick claim deeds. One will be from Meriwether County to East Oak Farm LLC. Second one is to Waters Edge Plantation LLC. You've got a map that's, or survey that's attached to that. And this is no warranty of right-of-way. This is just simply quit claiming any interest we had in terms of interest.
Thank you. All right. At this time, I'd like to get a motion on the floor regarding the execution of the quick claim deed for the abandonment of Weaver Road.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Any more discussion? If not, I'd like to call for a vote. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carries. The next item is item number 7. We have Mr. Kennard Robinson, who wants to address the board regarding the state of Meriwether County Commission. Mr. Robinson?
Good evening, I'm Kennard Rawlinson. I live at 5326 Mount Carmel Road. I'm going to limit my comments to Mr. Threadgill. I'd like to ask you some questions concerning your thoughts and your actions leading up to the August 14th Commission's meeting. I looked at the agenda just prior to the August 14th Commission meeting, and I didn't see anything at all concerning Oakland Road. And then, and I left town, and I came back and I found out that you had brought up reopening the Oakland Road question on closure. And my question is since you're all the way down in the south, don't you say this is the Meriwether County, you're all the way down here, why are you so interested in going up?
I need you to come back to the front, I'm sorry.
I'll let you ask all of your questions to me, and then I'll answer you.
Why is it of so much interest to you what goes on up there?
saying they did not want to open or close. The commission representative, Chairman Hines, voted to keep the road open, as did Beth Hadley, Alan Neely, and Mary Frank. So I thought it was a done deal. But about 2 weeks later, you decide to come back up and bring it up for a vote. Why is it so important to you? It was a done deal.
Any more questions?
Well, right now, not right now.
Okay. Well, let me ask you, why do you think it was that important to me? Since you want to question me, I'll ask you.
I don't know why you would come out of your district up to District 1.
We are representatives of our district, but we're also representatives of this entire county. We were not in compliance with what the state tells us we need to vote on that night. To be honest with you, that's why I brought it back up. It wasn't 2 weeks later. I was actually looking at it tonight. So, by state regulations, and I hope the attorney has something to take it back, but we can either vote, yes, this road serves the continued public purpose, or no, it does not. Then there's a checklist, which our building and zoning had completed and stated it does not serve a public purpose. There was concern and interest that the bridge that is there that has been out for 30 plus years, that GDOT may come in and assist with it. The conversation during this initial meeting was toward the fact that we would wait to see what GDOT would be. There was a motion to deny. There was a second to deny. And when we called for vote, there was a third. But we were not in compliance with what we are allowed to vote on in that particular, on any road closure. So that's why I brought it back up, is because we need to see if GDOT will, and Mr. Darren Gay is working on that. And here's what you need to know about me. If GDOT does approve that, I'll vote to not close that road too. But when we have state regulations that tell us what we can and cannot vote on, and we have a checklist from our board, from our building and zoning saying it does not serve a purpose, that vote that night should have been to close that road. That's my interest in District 1.
I don't understand what you're talking about in compliance. You say we are not in compliance.
I think what he's addressing is that the night in question, the standard is whether or not it serves a substantial public purpose. There was a motion on the table, there was a motion that was being discussed, but I don't think was brought up, whether or not to table the issue so that they could further evaluate whether or not there would be a substantial public interest to keep the road open or not. And during that, there was a confusion. I was not here at the last board meeting. I think Nathan was serving on this one, but I believe the question that was brought up was whether or not to reassess solely, whether or not to reassess based on what the GDOT had to say so that they could be fully informed when they made their vote. Because I think there was a confusion the night that the vote took place on what exactly was being voted on, because of the discussions of whether or not to deny the road closure, I think that was what was on there, or whether or not to table it for further discussion at a later date.
Well, you weren't there, I was there, I didn't see any confusion, I saw a vote.
I was here, sir. I was here the night that we did all those.
He wasn't here for the meeting that
I was not here for the reconsideration.
Okay, I saw a vote of
I
3-2.
I understand that. What I'm saying is there were two motions on the table. Well, one motion on the table, one motion being discussed, and during that, I believe that some of the commissioners may have been confused. Now, I was not here for the reconsideration. What did that pass on? What did the reconsideration pass on?
3-2.
3-2, so which means that at least one of the commissioners that voted no, wanted to have all the information available before they made a final decision on that road closure.
Well, I would think it would be highly unlikely that Commissioner Bray or Commissioner Hines or Commissioner Beth Hadley would go into your district to get your wishes and try and get something turned over the way you did it up here. Frankly, we don't appreciate it up here in District 1. You came up here and
Trego.
Yeah, well,
Actually,
no.
I've allowed you all to address,
Well, that just.
you should be addressed to, excuse me. In actuality, I should have hit the gavel earlier, but I wanted to have everyone have to speak. The protocol and decor says you're supposed to address the chair, whether you're the public or even the people on the board are supposed to address the chair, and then the chair reads the summons. So I apologize that I should have, once again, and when I made the comments earlier, that you, when you speak, you're supposed to speak to the board. So once again, I apologize to you and to everyone else that I should have acknowledged the fact that you should address the board, and that's the chair, and that's me, and not one individual chairman. One individual commissioner. So at this point, whatever remaining comments, address it to me. And in turn, I'll ask other commissioners, do they have any comments or have something to say? Because once again, we're not here to put any particular person in. We don't want to make statements that are allegations or untruth, or nor do we want to address anyone on a personal level. We're here to do the business of the county. And so again, if there's a question about how that vote went, you may want to go back and look at it, but at this time, I would ask the remaining of the time is to address me, and then at that, if there's any other commissioner that has anything, I will ask them to comment.
Okay, in a conversation that I had with you, you said that the only thing I could discuss is policies and procedures of the Meriwether County Commission. That was a policy and procedure of the Meriwether County Commission. I didn't know that I had to address you, I did to him. You'd still have the same result with this young man leaving. Wouldn't matter if I addressed you or not. That's just his temper. Okay, I have a letter here I'd like to read to the chairman, if I may do so. It's a letter of intent. It's addressed to the Meriwether County Board of Commissioners and to Mr. Theron Gay. This letter expresses my intent to rebuild the White Oak Covered Bridge and to provide funding for that purpose. Should the Meriwether County Commission vote to keep open that portion of Oakley Road from Beaver Lakes Road to the White Oak Creek, I, Kenneth Rawlinson, will contact my certified public accountant on the first business day following the Commissioner's decision to keep the road open, and have that accountant create an IRS-approved funding account in accordance with IRS rules and regulations. Once that account is established, I will deposit $50,000 of my own money into that fund to begin the process of fundraising and reconstruction of the White Oak Covered Bridge. So that it will all depend on the outcome of the vote. Thank you.
To the attorney, does that need to be put in our records?
The letter of
The letter of intent?
It's not a hearing, it's nothing being voted on, but it needs to be part of
The minutes? Okay.
So, he's got a copy, Mr. Robinson has a copy, get the clerk.
Do you need me to make you a copy?
No, I've got more copies.
Thank you, Mr. Rawlinson. For the board members, does anyone have any comments or any questions they want to address Mr. Rawlinson at this time?
I have one comment. We all do have our district, yes, we do, and we have to look at our constituents, and we do try to take the lead of the person that's in that district. But I think I speak for everybody, we represent the whole county. I don't see one part of this county any more important than the other, and I think my vote and my actions over these years back that up. And I think one thing that Mr. Trego mentioned was about quarry. No, that wasn't in my district. I was probably as far away from that as you could get, but that didn't mean I wasn't concerned about it. So I think while we do look after our district, we have to represent them. I think we all, or we should all, be representing the entire county.
Thank you. Commissioner Gray, do you have any comments at this time? No? Commissioner McCoy?
No, I do not.
Well, thank you. Okay, thank you for your comments, we appreciate that. But I go back, I do want to say once again, there are policies and procedures that we should govern ourselves by and be consistent about it. And I will admit there are times when we haven't. So I would like to recommend to the board that at some point in time, we get some training through ACCG that will at least give it more clarity on how we should be conducting our meetings more appropriately so that everyone will understand the policy of our rules of order. ACCG does provide that. They also have a booklet that outlines what that procedure is, and then we have our ACC book, that we handbook that's available. So once again, just to make sure that we are doing things proper and in order, I just like at some time that we do look at having someone to come in and give us that training so we can be up to date and make sure that we're doing things correctly. So this is just a suggestion that I'd like to make at this time. Moving on, the next item is the report from the finance director. I'm sorry. All right, there is another item that we add onto the agenda every time I pick up an old one. It is to discuss a voting delegate for the ACCG Legislative Conference, which is in Athens in October.
And we just need to complete the form and have that turned in. That meeting, business session is Thursday, October 3rd at 1:45 p.m. And we do need to complete this soon and send it back in. Also, if there's accommodations, we need to be sure we get those in as well. So,
I will be out of town end of that week and weekend, so it won't be me.
Well, I have served as the representative, but I'm more than willing to allow someone else who would like that opportunity to go to Athens.
I'm actually going to be out of town that week.
That's all, no, y'all are saying that, okay.
Not it is.
Commissioner Gray, I do want to give people the opportunity.
No, I do not want to be that hard, and I might take my class that week.
Well, it seems like I'm voted back in there, but once again, I appreciate the opportunity to bring back the legislative things that we're doing. So do we need to vote on this?
I'll make that form of a motion.
All right. So there's been a motion and a second. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
you already got you filled out.
You already got me filled out anyway. Got my name on there anyway. All right. We're trying to move this right along. I want to thank all those who have been here for their patience. Unfortunately, our meetings do get long sometimes. It's just a lot to cover. Report from the finance director.
Y'all have reports in front of you. Bank balance in the general fund, $715,000. You have $200,000 down in one account. My comment is that $408,000 is supposed to be ever collect. I'm working with search orders.
That's good. That's good.
I don't know if it has to do with the collection efforts of the state, because a couple months ago, they started
We got a lot of side conversations. We want to be able to hear what our finance person is saying.
A couple months ago, the state started collecting those fees and then distributing to the counties, so that might be one of the upturn. We'll get that right. It will get kind of tight around in September, 1st of October, but got our toenails dug in with the fire lady collecting. October 15th date with the insurance tax check company.
Still no tan. Right.
Thank you.
Huh? 3 in a row.
Property tax rate, tax measure is 97.64% collected for the end of July. So a couple more months to go this year, so we have to be close to 98, 99%.
Sounds good.
That's all I have, unless you have any questions.
Now, trying to run right through this. All right. All right, from our county administrator.
I'll be very quick. We've got T-Splosh, we're working on the finalized T-Splosh presentations, given I talked about that earlier. We already have like 5 or 6 presentations scheduled, 3 of them, 3 nights in a row. So it's going to be a busy week, but we'll get those done. So we'll let you guys know we're working on that. Sewer ordinance, we talked about already tonight. I'm going to have a completed draft copy, the second draft copy of the county codes, present those back to Muni Code on September 12th, and then, of course, we'll get them back to We do have bid openings for the Greenville parking lot and the sidewalk project that the county is doing, and those will open this Friday at 12 o'clock.
Thank you. All right, report from our county commissioners. Commissioner Gray?
I don't have anything. I would like to say I enjoyed my time at Southern River along with Commissioner Hines Saturday in Barnesville. Also Family Day at Greenville High School on Saturday.
Thank you. Commissioner Hadley, do you mind going while I'm trying to find
Yeah, sure. I don't have just a couple of things. We have some good news. Meriwether County has been selected by the state for a Healthy Mother, Healthy Baby satellite. During the legislative session, I think that's when this all came about. Of course, they looked at all the counties, and part of it's not good because it says, you know, we're poverty level, we have a high mortality rate, whatever, but the upside to that is that we're going to be funded for a satellite for Healthy Mothers, Healthy Babies, and it includes a lot of things with that, and we met today with Senator Robertson and Representative Buckner, and we met with the Health Department. It'll be working hand in hand really with the Health Department, and it is a good thing for Meriwether County. There'll be a lot more coming out about this. Right now, they really want to get in there and get started, so they're looking at a couple of options with the DFAX building and some other buildings to possibly use initially, and then maybe look at some others to see where they can get funding for and that kind of thing. But we had two representatives there today that are part of the Healthy Mothers, Healthy Babies satellite coalition. And like I said, it is a good thing for Meriwether County. Like I said, hopefully it'll address some of the issues here. I didn't know, and I think everybody, I know y'all were at the meeting when they said that our mortality rate for mothers after birth is pretty high around here. And I mean, it's 5 to 6 months after, and what they're finding is they don't have any kind of health care. And so this will provide, and hopefully this will lead to some other community things through the Meriwether, the Family Connection to do things as well. It has just been, like Commissioner Bray said, it's been a couple of really busy days, lots of things, weeks, couple of things, lots of things going on. But do remember the cleanup day, the last Saturday in September. We really need some teams. We need some people to get out there and help pick up litter. This project has become hugely successful, but there's still a lot more work to do. So, you know, Miss Jane has the information. The information is here. You know, give 2 or 3 hours on that Saturday morning to just help make, it helps make a difference. And just coming up, this is down the road a little bit, but October the 12th will be the annual Harvest Hoedown in Warm Springs. That's it.
All right, Commissioner McCoy?
Oh, just a quick recap of the animal shelter day over at Workers. I thought that was great, and enjoyed that, and y'all have already seen all the pictures, so there's nothing else to say there. Just want to let you know, and a reminder, the First Responders Dinner will be at the Masonic Lodge, September 9th at 6 p.m. That's all I have.
Excuse me, I forgot one thing.
Go right ahead.
Go ahead.
My T-Splosh meeting in Warm Springs is September the 10th at 6 o'clock. Got that? You've got one? That's September the 11th, but at 6 o'clock. But that's supposed to be our first 2 meetings about the T-Splosh.
Yours is September 11th.
Ours is the 11th, mine's the 10th.
Where's yours going to be? RDE or community building?
Mine's at the community building in Warm Springs.
Can we make sure that information is also put on our county website? I know you all have been posting it on.
But they did put it on there.
Good. My turn, and I'm going to try to be quick and brief. I attend the Three Rivers Commission meeting, and it was this past Wednesday. There was a couple of things. One of the things that I've sent everyone a copy of it. Hopefully you had a chance to read over it. But one of the things I want to mention is that we have the transit system here in Meriwether County, and most of all the counties that Three Rivers Service has it. And unfortunately, right now, they're in litigation, and there is a possibility, and we're going to be hopeful that through this, they can resolve this without stopping the service. So we don't know a whole lot as of yet. There was some initial discussion on budget and things like with GDOT, and they were able to resolve that. Now it's the actual server. It's the people who actually service the van, who hires the van people and all of that. So just want you to be aware, because if it happens, we're not going to have notice. and I just want people to be aware of it. So as soon as I know something, I'll let you know, but hopefully, their contract is up for renewal, and they're looking to see if there's anyone else who offers that service, which is very limited, especially here in the state of Georgia. So if, once again, it's just the logistics of that. So I wanted everyone to be aware of
I
that.
have a question on that. With so many people using that service, a lot of people use it to doctor's appointments that are very, very important. Is there any way that we can request they go ahead and send a letter letting these people have notice that this possibly could happen, so they can make some other arrangements rather than waiting? Some of them use it, I think, for dialysis and everything.
Right.
I don't think they need to wait till the last minute like these people have.
Well, I think we can reach out to Three Rivers and find out what other ways they're going to address this. Right now, that program is funded through GDOT, federal money, and it's also funded through DHS. So DHS is okay. That part of the contract is fine. It's the other part of the contract. But I will reach out to Three Rivers and find out if there's, as soon as they know something, if there's a possibility that the service is stopped for whatever period of time, then we can get advance notice. Because you're right, people use this to go to dialysis, go to the doctors.
To go to work, too.
And go to work.
It's
It's been a great asset to this county. The last thing I want to just mention is, in that email that I sent you all, it was brought to our attention that the Georgia Transportation Infrastructure Bank has money available, and this is not GDOT money, this is money from, I guess, state toll roads or things of this nature. But anyway, there's $125 million in grants and loans available. It's a highly competitive grant, and so they have announced that funding will be available for 2019. Applications need to be submitted from August the 15th to August the 15th to October the 15th. So once again, I would like for us to look at this. We're always looking at ways how we can bring more funding in to help us in our roads. From my understanding, this will help any aspect of roads itself of salary. So if this is another opportunity for us to get money that would help us to our roads, I'm not sure about equipment, but we need to look into this. This is through Three Rivers, and it's a very short window to apply, and I asked Three Rivers, because they're going to be helping a lot of other counties, would they help us as far as putting that initial grant together? So I will make sure, I hope, they short staff too. But they are going to do what they can. The last thing I want to bring out is, last Wednesday, and I told the Board of Commissioners part of it, there was a meeting in West Point. It was called Rural Strong West Georgia. It was a meeting that was held in West Point. It was very well attended by Meriwether County. It was SBA and USDA, and there is a great emphasis on rural counties, rural Georgia. And they share with us different programs, different grants that are available. So we have connected with them. I want us to keep that relationship, because anything that's coming down the pipeline, we need to be aware of it so that we can be ready to take advantage of any of these programs. We do not want to leave these funding on the table. So they were it was very well attended. Hopefully when they do it again, we can invite them to host it here in Meriwether County. So once again, I thought it was a good thing, and it was a good showing of representative from Meriwether County. I know everybody can't go to everything, but that was definitely the case there. That's all I have. At this time, any report from our county attorney?
No report from me. I do think we have a need for executive session on litigation, personnel, and real estate.
That's everything, right? All right.
We'll talk real fast.
All right, so at this time, and for those who have stayed the course, it is time for public comments. So anyone at this time who'd like to address the board, you feel you can. Once again, the protocol is you address the chairman. If you want to respond, we'll ask the other commissioners to respond on this. But once again, anyone who would like to get up, and I think Mr. Rollison's name was on here, but he has already left. Mr. David Howell's name was on this list. I don't see him. Is it Carol Hunter? All right, Ms. Hunter.
Hi, I live on Keith Road, 7th Keith Road, and after listening to your discussion about the roads, I hate to bring this up, but, and And I know that the equipment is out there from the washout that occurred in April. And I also know that I have watched it not go very quickly. However, being 6 employees down, I'm sure it's very difficult. And I agree, however, that maybe an adjunct committee might be helpful. And if you're looking for citizen volunteers, I am retired and I will be glad to help because these roads in Meriwether County are horrendous.
You don't ride a motivator, do you?
Is that gonna be the prerequisite to get on this board?
I don't drive what?
Motorbike, well, apparently not.
No, maybe not. But I'm willing to donate my time, and if it will help to get the grant, I'll be willing to work on that because not only are the roads bad, but it reflects on all of us, and to only have one excavator for the whole county, from what I understand, that for it to go down for 2 weeks waiting on parts. I mean, I have called y'all about that area. We also have a bad bridge on Keith Road, the one closest to 109, and it's not level, it's not smooth. Somebody's going to really hurt themselves. We have logging trucks and 18-wheelers going on our roads, and it's just not safe. So as far as buses are concerned, children, our own private vehicles, everything that we go through, because it is used a lot. You wouldn't think so, but it is, because it's shorter distance from 109 to the expressway in Hogansville than it is going all the way down 109, getting on the expressway and going up. So, and of course, the trucks miss their way-ins if they go Keith Road, which has been brought up before. So basically, I have a whole list here of things, but after listening to y'all, I've been here since 2007, and Keith Road has not been paved in that 12 years, only partially. And the reason I think that you get so many calls is because there's not a follow-through, there's not a way for us to get on to y'all except, is that my time? But you do have a website that has the ones that are currently being fixed. If it could go in and be updated, at least we would be able to see what y'all done and what you've accomplished, and that would help with communications and decrease our frustrations. Thank you. Okay.
I would say if she doesn't mind contacting our office, we'd love to talk to you about this T-SPOS program.
Okay.
Okay.
The next person on the list is Mr. Bruce O'Neill. Mr. O'Neill? Do you want to make a comment? If so, you need to come up to the podium.
I just had a short comment. Mine was on a different subject. Mine was on the roads and the Gold Bridge. I thought we were going to get into a little more thing on that. The only thing I was going to say is I volunteered the commission for this and also this board too. If we are able to save that road, get some materials, and it sounds like we are, I'll donate my services free to help engineer install that bridge back to me. No cost to the county, and I'll take it to the court. So that all that hinges on whether or not we're able to save that road, do, consider that alive. I'll gladly engineer, put it back together safely for the DOT of passing the first time.
Thank you. All right, Mr. David Howell is not here. I see Mr. Kennard, I'm sorry, messed up your name again, Mr. Wallace. Mr. Kennard Wallison, you are also listed down for public comments. Do you need to comment?
Chair, I'm going to say what I think.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone else that have not signed up who would like to come and speak? Once again, you can come up to the podium, just give us your name and your address, and you need to sign this as well for our records.
I got sick. I'm sitting on vacation.
I do not know what time. They just told me they were going to do it on Wednesday. I would suggest contacting the superintendent's office and just asking them what time.
It's on the website. I do plan to attend that, I do have some concerns about that, how long I have in the right page. Just mention I had an event at the school on Sunday, and I want the requirements and regulations about these. And pay a certain price, I understand that pay for the school, and then we have to pay for the lights. And I thought, okay, I thought this was pay per hour for the facilities, including the light. Then they charged me a separate fee for the light bill, and then I was charged a separate fee because I had to pay the custodian guy to come after hours to work. And then, after I thought that was enough, and it was for me, they called about almost a week later, maybe a couple days before my event, to state that I could have $1 million worth of coverage.
I'm sorry, this is with this is the school board? Okay, yeah. I understand, but once again, as commissioners, we don't have comment on that, appreciate you sharing that with us, but once again, just like the county has their meetings, the school board has meetings as well, so we'll be glad to let you know when. First of all, it's always amazing to me when a citizen can attend meetings. All meetings are open to the public. The only time there's a meeting when, you may have heard, we've got to go in executive session, which means we're going to talk about personnel or litigation or real estate. That is the only time the public cannot be a part of whatever is being discussed. So any meeting is open to the public. Unless there's other reasons that I may not be aware of, and the attorney might elaborate on that. But as citizens, and you don't even have to live in Meriwether County, you don't have to, all meetings are open to everyone. Once again, I'm still amazed that people ask that, but that's okay. But we're all learning, so, yeah.
Madam Chair, may I mention one thing?
1 second,
We mentioned the meeting on the 30th, that's when it's about the millage. That'll just be a very short meeting, because the millage rate's not being proposed to be changed or anything. But on September the 5th, that's a work session that all we're going to do is just talk about the budget. We're trying to get the public to come in, whether we go over it line by line, just to have conversation about it. There's still time at that point to make changes that need to be. So if you can come then, I think it'll be a good time of just September the 5th.
And that's at 6?
At 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
And it'll be more of an informal meeting, there'll be a work session, but all we're going to talk about.
It's got to be here. And if you don't mind, I'd like to ask Bill, is the budget that we have proposed, is it available online? It'll be on the website? Okay. So April, okay. So the budget will be in the paper as well as on our website. So prior to that meeting on September the 5th, if you want to look over the budget and get a chance to read it, so when you come in and you have questions, then you'll be able to get those questions answered, hopefully, in a timely way, or give clarity to those questions that you may have. Thank you. All right. Is there anyone else at this time for public comments? Well, we appreciate you all staying the length of our meetings. As you can see, we have a lot to cover and a lot to discuss. So at this time, if there's no other public comments, we are going to have a motion to go in executive session to discuss litigation, personnel, and real estate. So moved. And so there's been a motion and a second for us to go into executive session. But I think before I did that, I should mention the further future meetings, right? All right. So if you look up on there, it'll tell you when our next meeting and any other special. And it's September the 5th on that. And once again, this information is available on our website. So if you ever have any questions, go to the website or feel free to call to our office. But we're trying to keep as much information updated on the website. So once again, at this time, we have a motion and a second to go into executive session. We're going into executive session. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Thank you.